This video is gonna be short. I don't have an overly conclusive point. It's mostly just an update. I'm sorry, it's not very positive. I've been doing a little bit better in terms of functioning like a normal human being. I've got my brain together a little more, feeling a little bit more like my old self. I've been intentionally trying to do that. I'll go a little bit more into that in here. Yeah. Like I said, mostly just an update. I wish I had a little bit more substance to give you, but yeah, here we go. I have been staring at my reflection in this video screen for a good 5 minutes or so. I don't know exactly the point right now that I want to make. I just know I think I have something to say today. I think I've had something to say for a few days. I've been wanting to sit down and make one of these. I just been lacking the focus. It's been a little while since I have released one, so I have been pretty stalled in my mental health searches. I have yet to find any traction getting a counselor. I can say at least I feel a little safer going to a general counselor right now, headspace wise. The jelly brain feels a little bit more encapsulated, a little bit less raw to the outside forces. So I feel like I can talk to a counselor without being so exposed to their manipulation, without my own defenses, I guess. They can't direct my river without me being able to steer some of that flow and respond in kind, without them being able to traumatize me, without me being able to stand up to some of what might pop into my head. Because when you deal with a counselor that doesn't know how much digging you've already done, they want to dig up the grave of everything you've already done and cut rope that you've already retied together, try and tie it into different places, and you're like, wait, I've done that. Can you just hear me out for a minute? And they're like, no, I don't want to hear your whole rope that you've tied together. I just want to cut it all up, start from scratch. And you're like, no, you're gonna re-traumatize me if you do that, because I've already been there. I've already cut that all apart, and if you cut that all apart now, then I'm gonna be free rolling and you're going to destroy my life. Because I've already destroyed my life and rebuilt it. So I need to be in a safe enough mental place to go see some random person that wants to destroy my life all over again, and have enough backbone to say, no, stop it. Stop it. I'm not gonna do that. you're going to listen to me. That's a feeling I've been having really strongly lately. Is the need to tell people to stop it. Stop re-destroying my life. Stop telling me. Stop right where you are. Do you not think that I have been thinking about the exact same issues for 30 years? For my entire life. I'm not an experiment. At least, I'm not a new jar of Play-Doh. It just, the system seems to say I need to see someone very basic that needs to see me and say, this person's too hard for my basic skills. And so what I don't need is someone with basic skills to say, I want to play with you and see what I can do. And I'm terrified of that. I don't know. I'm terrified of someone taking my vulnerability and deciding they want to I'm terrified that someone is going to take my vulnerability and decide that they want to take a crack at it. I don't need a medical professional that wants to take a crack at it. I need somebody that has proven they can do it. That's why I'm afraid of going to a basic general therapist. And that's why I feel like now, as opposed to a few months ago, it's a better time for me to do that because I have a little less jelly brain. I have a few more defenses, and I feel like I can say, stop right there. I don't want you to just try. I want you to know that you can do this. Know that you know exactly how. And if you don't know exactly how, you need to recommend me to the proper professional. So, as I said, I have been stalled. It has been very frustrating. Very disheartened. It looks like now I'm even stalled on this seeing a basic professional thing. I'm doing my best to resolve my brain to accepting less and less. Like, I had said, I'm not going to accept any less than this. I'm not going to accept any less than this. And that bar keeps dropping. Because I just, at this point, want anything that will help from the mental medical community, from public health care, which is what I'm on. And so I've kind of said, all right, you're on public health care. I will accept just a little less. just a little less, just a little less. And I've got nothing, and nothing, and nothing, and nothing. And so I had said I had a stated goal. I wanted to fully engage in my wedding. I wanted to not dissociate from my wedding. I wanted to remember to fully, I wanted to be able to fully remember my wedding. Because one of the unfortunate consequences of dissociation when you're stressed is that it's hard to reconnect with those memories. Because you're not necessarily your full person when you dissociate. So if I get particularly stressed during my wedding, I really run that risk. And I was really hoping when I started this about 6 months ago, not 6 months ago, but 6 months prior to my wedding, that would be enough time to at least begin that journey and start connecting with myself so that I could be somewhere along that path. Now we're 2 months ahead of my wedding, and I don't even have a mental health care professional to say that I'm going to. So more than likely I will be nowhere along the path to my stated goal when my wedding comes. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm at all able to fully engage in my wedding. See how able I am to engage in my wedding. I'm trying to maintain a positive outlook on my wedding, but every time I start thinking about it, I pretty much have to talk myself off the ledge of being convinced it's going to be one big horrible disaster. So I need to not manifest that. It's really becoming harder and harder. It's starting to feel like a why bother if I'm not even going to remember it. Why do anything for me involving the wedding? It should just all be for Dave. He's going to be the one to remember it. I don't know. Just not really feeling that great about the future right now. There is a consequence that comes with this comfort that I'm talking about with the jelly brain. So the jelly brain is something I talked about earlier. When you're traumatized in the mental sense. So like, we all understand what trauma is in terms of post-traumatic stress. Some event happens, it's traumatic. Bomb goes off, car crash, near-death experience, something like that. It is traumatic. We understand that physical trauma, but what creates the traumatic memory is what your brain does to protect you from remembering the trauma, the physical trauma. So when you're unpacking the traumatic memories, you're really confronting whatever your brain has done to protect you from the trauma. And so you take away the protection, and what you're left with is the traumatic memory. And the traumatic memory is the jelly brain. And this jelly brain you can walk around with, like, makes you freak the F out because there's no protection around it which is what your life has been about, is this protection against this memory that you didn't want to remember. And so when you have this jelly brain, this memory you didn't want to remember, just exposed, anything that touches it makes you freak out. So you want to build these walls back up in a healthier way. Well, I haven't had a chance to build them back up in a healthier way. I just kind of broke them down, and then I walked around for a while, freaking the F out about everything. And then I realized that everyone around me was reflecting back to me what was going on in my brain. And so in order to build some peace back up in my household, I tried to put a cap back on it, and it's not a healthy cap. It's pretty much just the same effing cap. And the reason I know it's the same cap is because the second I put it back on or started trying to reestablish it, the same consequences started coming back. And some worse consequences started coming back. Started developing. So I don't really want to go into exactly what is going on for a couple different reasons. But in order to function as a human being, in my job, in my household, as a mother, as a partner, I had to put some walls back up. I had to fill in some of the cracks I was talking about last time to shore up some of those walls to make that jelly brain a little less sensitive. Because every time anything was poking it, I was having really severe reactions. And without a mental health care professional to be talking to be guiding me, to be helping me heal and reestablish healthy walls, I had to put up some emergency walls, and I tried to put in some mechanisms for health, but I know that I didn't do it right, and I know this because of the way my body is reacting to me trying to function the way I need to. And when I say function, again, I just mean going to work, being a mother, being a partner, and not being dysfunctional. So it's a consequence. Control costs mental energy. Mental energy has to come from somewhere. When your brain has to work extra hard because it's been damaged, it costs extra energy. That extra cost takes extra tolls. Actions have consequences. It's a simple equation. It just has complicated consequences. I talked a lot about walls. I talked a lot about putting them up, re-putting them up. I guess in the last 2 weeks or so, I have really felt the reestablishment of them, because I have felt a lot more stabilized. I've felt them set into place a lot more firmly in the last 2 weeks than they have been in the last 4 months. Mostly because I have felt just the control set in, and I know it has been because I mentally shut the front door on it. I said enough. I've been out of control for too long. I haven't found any help, and I can't let this keep going. My mental consciousness needs to take the control back, regardless of the negative consequence to my physical self. And that's what it did. I don't know how really consciously I made that choice. Like, I know I made the choice, but I don't know how wholehearted of a decision it was, so much as a reactive decision, but it was a decision that I did make. And I know I did it. And I don't know how at peace I am with that decision. I just know it's been made, and I don't plan on reversing it anytime soon, because I have to get some shit done. And without the help that I have been asking for and have not received, that shit is not gonna get done. So, until it does get done, I can't risk exposing that uncontrolled, unprotected self to the world like it was. Even if that unprotected self needs to be unprotected to heal. I just can't. Shaking. Here we go. Anyways, so that's my conclusion. So the last thing I have to say here is thanks for listening. Please remember, I do my best to poke my own holes in my own boat, sink my own ship. If you feel the need to criticize what I have had to say here today, just remember I spend a lot of time criticizing my own self. Ask yourself why you feel the need to criticize before you do. This is a safe space. At least I'm trying to establish one. Please check yourself before you criticize. If you've been through all those checks and you still feel like you gotta do it. That's okay. You do you. But questions are almost always better than criticisms. Even if you're just asking yourself the questions before you're criticizing what it is you're looking at. And again, thank you for listening. I do mean that.